For those who don't know about the Euthyphro Dilemma, this is a problem that has to do with God's relation to morality. When we say that God is good, do we mean that A, God matches some independent standard of good, or B, do we define good as whatever God does? If the answer is A, then good is something wholly independent of God, and is not created by God. If the answer is B, then morality is arbitrary. If good is defined as whatever God says is good, then if God said murder is good, it would be good by definition. This is obviously a problem. Well, William Lane Craig thinks he has a solution to this problem.
I think, however, that the Euthyphro dilemma is a false dilemma because there's a third alternative. It's not the case that God wills something because it is good, nor is it the case that something is good just because God wills it. Rather, God wills something because He is good. That is to say, it is God's own nature which determines what is the good. God is by nature essentially compassionate, just, fair, kind, loving, and so forth. And because He is good, His commandments to us reflect necessarily His nature.
Craig isn't saying that God freely chooses to only command things which reflect His nature. He's saying that His commands must necessarily reflect His nature. Human beings who are capable of doing evil are apparently more free than God. And saying that God's nature is good does not solve the Euthyphro problem. It just pushes the problem from God's will to God's nature. We can still ask, when we say that God's nature is good, do we mean that it is good by some external standard? Or do we mean that good is defined as that which is consonant with God's nature? If the answer is the former, then we still have the problem that morality is something independent of God. While if the answer is the latter, then we still have the problem that morality is arbitrary. Because if God's nature were such that it allowed God to approve of murder, then murder would be good by definition.